Story 1. I work with autistic students. One of my students started talking again today for the first time in months. Story 2. I am a realtor and I unfortunately had to tell some people I had shown land to that the owners accepted an offer before we could submit ours, so they would not get it. It was especially hard because a father was trying to help his son buy land to build his first house. Fortunately, the father stopped by my office today to ask if there was any way we could still compete for the property despite it being under contract. The answer was no, but I checked its status and, by chance, the deal fell through and it was back on the market. We are now submitting an offer, and I am hopeful they will get the land for the son's house. Story 3. My flu finally seems to be on its way out. I can breathe a little more easily, and it feels nice. Story 4. I saw my newborn son smile for the first time. I think the sun could have exploded and I wouldn't have noticed. Story 5. I spent a pleasant day preparing for my dream job interview tomorrow. Story 6. I gathered enough motivation to go out and take a stroll. Story 7. I get to be at my own home today because my partner, who has dementia, is having a good day. Story 8. I ate a sandwich from a local bakery. Goat cheese, fig jam, arugula and walnuts on a baguette. It was excellent. Story 9. I am a mail carrier, and today was not a god-awful Monday like usual. It was actually pretty good. Story 10. My husband shared a vulnerable moment with me, which led to a meaningful and connected conversation. Story 11. I was discharged from the hospital today after intestinal surgery. I also ate real food for the first time in a week. Story 12. My wife got to hold our baby in the neonatal intensive care unit for the first time today. It is a wild ride of emotions. Story 13. I am a casual worker at a daycare, and one of the children I had just met asked when I would come back. It always feels good to make those connections. I also unexpectedly won a Bluetooth speaker from the McDonald's Monopoly promotion. Story 14. I had a nice, short walk around my building with a coworker between projects. Story 15. Someone reached out to ask me to give a talk for their business. I'm relatively new to public speaking, and I'm trying to make it my primary source of income, which, it turns out, is not easy, so this was very exciting. Story 16. I got to leave work after a 12-hour shift to eat a Domino's pizza. Story 17. I didn't have a single meeting at work because all my colleagues are out at an event. Pure quiet work or chill time for the whole day. Story 18. I am a recent widow and I am 71 years old. My trainer at the gym told me I am gaining strength and balance faster than he thought possible. I was thrilled. Story 19. Surprise! An intervention for my dad led to him entering a rehabilitation facility today. That is cool. Story 20. I have been dealing with depression, but today I went to the gym. I managed a 2-mile run on the treadmill, and I felt a little better afterward. I judged myself, then reminded myself that 2 miles are better than nothing. Story 21. My cat of 9 years was just diagnosed with heart disease, but responded well at the emergency veterinarian. Hopefully all the medications will buy her time. She had a good day today. Story 22. I was able to fall asleep after being up until 4 a.m. The day was tough to get through, but I'm happy I slept a little. Story 23. A few days ago, I ordered Pokemon cards of Meloetta and Chestnut on eBay. They arrived today. Story 24. My husband offered to make me French fries in the air fryer for dinner. Story 25. My teenage daughter and I took a long walk in the woods and talked about everything that is important to her. Then we sat down by the creek at the end of our property and just enjoyed each other's company. Story 26. My children wanted to read in bed with me tonight before they went to sleep. They are 11 and 9 years old and had not wanted to read in bed with me for almost 2 years. But reading has been so foundational to our family that reading together became a clear way for them to connect with us. I appreciate my wife's suggestion and that they wanted to do it. I do not know how long this will last, but I will enjoy every minute of it. Story 27. I finally got my M1 motorcycle license endorsement. It has been a rough couple of months mentally, so this was a nice change. It is something new that I have been wanting to do for a while. Story 28. I was driving and looked over. There was a huge spider on the outside of the car window. Story 29. A hotel in the town I just moved to held an event for employees and residents. The food was so delicious it was the most I have eaten in weeks. Story 30. I had a colonoscopy today. It is over now and that is good. Story 31. I used a resistance soldering machine for the first time. It was revolutionary. Story 32. I participated in a research project where I had to taste some cookies. It was definitely a nice part of my day. Story 33. I saw some bubbling in the hot sauce that I recently started fermenting. My wife kissed me a bunch. She is so pretty. Story 34. I have had a lot of pressure on me lately, and I have felt extremely overwhelmed at work. I run a business and I am responsible for social impact work that employs some wonderful people and helps many children and teenagers around the world. With everything going on in the world right now, it sometimes feels very hard to scale our impact moving forward. Today, I asked for help when I needed it and gave myself permission to take a 15-minute walk outside. I heard birds chirping and flying. I felt the sun on my skin, and I watched my dog prance with her little happy steps. She actually weighs 90 pounds, but she is always my little baby. Little by little, I have been recognizing that even in the worst-case scenarios, if I cannot overcome these challenges at work and if we cannot keep fighting for these children, I still have these moments. I still have the fight in me, and my team and community still have the fight in them. Along the way, I am doing my best and not destroying myself so I can keep going. I did not get everything I wanted to do today, but I know I have to keep taking things one step at a time. I genuinely believe I will get what is most important done. I will do it well, and my hard work and self-care will pay off in time. Story 35. 1. I had my bi-weekly meeting with my boss. She told me I was doing a fantastic job and that I was the best hire she had ever had. We joked for the rest of the meeting. 2. A grocery store cashier told me I have fantastic hair. I am a 63-year-old man. I thanked her and said she had elevated my mood. Story 36. I am on a road trip and have seen some of the most awe-inspiring and humbling natural scenery you could imagine. That has been true every day of the trip. Today, I drove on Highway 197 through Central Oregon. Story 37. Someone I like told me it is not me, it is them. So that is nice. Story 38. Canvas was down, so my algorithms teacher moved all our deadlines back 3 days. Story 39. My hairstylist is willing to help my trade publication by taking a survey that I created and by sharing my business cards with customers. I am in the initial stages, so this is a huge win for me. Story 40. I got Quest chips and had really nice conversations with my best friend. I also jumped in a couple of rain puddles. Story 41. My ride-sharing service had a discount code for the holiday today, and it gave me enough extra cash to treat myself to a nicer meal than usual. Story 42. My daughter's voice sounded light when I called her. Story 43. One of my coworkers is going on leave soon, and my manager wants me to take over their role. As of today, they have begun training me in the job, which is more complex than my previous responsibilities. I was not sure what my future at the company was, since I am technically still a temporary employee, but it is good to know that they trust me with a larger role. Story 44. I took the day off. I got some projects done. Now I can relax. Story 45. Job treated us to lunch because we had a good fiscal year. A small pizza party. Story 46. My significant other took me out for breakfast and to see Black Phone 2, which I had been really looking forward to. Story 47. This probably doesn't count, but just 4 more days until I have a week off, and I'm so damn excited. Story 48. I went for a nice walk with my dog on a beautiful fall day. Story 49. The job I have been seeking contacted me about the next steps. I hope it comes through because it has been a tough few months. Story 50. I woke up early enough to get a sandwich before working the night shift. Story 51. I had a tooth pulled. That went well. I was not looking forward to it, but my dentist was excellent even though it was a difficult extraction. It went much easier than I expected. Maybe that will also resolve a couple of other issues I have had. Story 52. I sold an item that was taking up a lot of space in my house on an online marketplace. It freed up space and earned me a few dollars. Story 53. I took my service dog for her morning leisure walk and saw her absolute glee when she found a random tennis ball at the park. It is not the first time I have seen her react like this to a ball, but every time it happens her happiness makes every pain and worry in my life disappear. This is especially true when she looks at me as if to say, "Look, Mum, look." Story 54. I had a slightly lower pain day. I still need to wear a brace and live with psychological and nerve pain. The brace is on my dominant arm. Story 55. I listened to a podcast and laughed heartily. It made my day. What was something good that happened to you today? Story 56. The internet died, and my whole job couldn't work, so everyone got to mingle. Story 57. The cashier I liked gave me a smile. I think she is just being Canadian, though. Story 58. I had a talk with my boyfriend, and he is okay with me dating my girlfriend. I am such a lucky man. Story 59. My flight was delayed by an hour, which meant I was going to miss my next flight with American Airlines. I spoke to someone at the desk, and they changed my booking. Suddenly, I was rebooked and boarding in 30 minutes, with plenty of time to relax afterward. It did not end there. The next flight was about 75% full, so a flight attendant asked if I wanted to change seats for more space. I then had the aisle, middle, and window seats all to myself. Story 60. I went out to eat with my dad. Most importantly, I had a smooth conversation. It was not as long as I would have liked, but I did not flinch or get nervous when people passed by. Story 61. I hurt less after physical therapy. I feel I have turned a corner. Story 62. I spent the whole day with my family at a funeral, of all places. Just my parents, my brothers, and my sister. No spouses, no children, no pets. It is a rare thing, and it is kind of nice to be able to sit and talk without being disturbed. Story 63. I came to a realization about the new office we are building, and it took a lot of stress off me. I had been thinking and researching the problem all day. Then I walked my dog, cleared my head, and the answer hit me. It was fantastic. Story 64. My dad gave me the tennis racket that belonged to my uncle who passed away. I played with it for the first time today and loved it. Story 65. I dropped my 8-year-old son off at school and told him I love him as he left the car. He did not respond, so I rolled down the window and said it again. He burst into laughter and then made our secret nonverbal "I love you" face. We have a secret hand squeeze pattern for when he feels it but does not want to say it out loud, and a face we make so he can see it from far away. I drove off feeling really happy, and I hope he did too. Story 66. I had the day off. I watched a movie with my 2 cats and my dog, all lying on me. Story 67. My senior cat spent the weekend in the intensive care unit with a first-time urinary blockage, which we couldn't really afford. We were told to be prepared for surgery if he couldn't urinate on his own after the catheter was removed. Today he urinated on his own, came home, and we received a $400 refund on the original estimate. Old man is now safe at home, stoned out of his mind and happy to have snuggles. Good day. Story 68. I managed to complete an important household task by the deadline. My husband normally does it, but he is currently in jail for 5 days. That is not something that happened to me. My toddler and kindergartner both gave me lots of hugs and kisses today. That was the best. Story 69. I stretched and several things in my lower back went click. It had been very sore for weeks, but it is working again. Story 70. I got out of work earlier than expected, hit no traffic on the way home, and was able to take my dog for a walk. Story 71. I joined this thread thinking I would have something to add, but my day has just been work, drama, and Reddit. Story 72. Within 30 seconds, I saw that I was not low or banned on AskReddit. Story 73. Not today, but on Saturday Taylor Fritz signed my tennis ball. I got to see him, Novak Djokovic, Jannik Sinner, and Carlos Alcaraz all in one day. I also watched the Sinner and Alcaraz final. Story 74. Someone did not judge me for dropping my majors and changing degrees. Meanwhile, my mother might kick me out or hurt me. Story 75. I learned my game has 2018 wishlists. The last time I checked months ago, it was at about 1,400. Story 76. I played basketball, made a small impact, sweated a lot, and enjoyed camaraderie with my teammates. Story 77. When I started cooking dinner, I discovered that my boyfriend had sharpened my favorite knife while he was here last weekend. Get yourself a partner who knows that true love is a sharp knife for cutting tomatoes. Story 78. I have to go to work. I love going. Dragging myself out of bed is not much fun, and leaving the house in the middle of a cold night is unpleasant. But I love the little boys I look after and often feel I do not get to spend enough time with them. They are so cute and hilariously funny. Story 79. I beat Final Fantasy I again with all red mages named after the main characters in the Three Musketeers. Weirdly, Porthos was the beefiest, followed by Athos, D'Artagnan, and Aramis. Half their names did not fit the character limit, so I charged into battle with shortened names, laughing. Story 80. I am on a term project with 5 other people. They are decent. Today we were supposed to have a meeting to give an update on our project. The other 5 are focusing on mass and energy balances while I am drawing a factory blueprint, so it would have been a massive waste of time for me. They either forgot or did not want to work on the project. That might be the best thing that happened on this rather bad day. The second best thing I thought of is eating potato chips. Story 81. I got my morning coffee just right. A small win that made my whole day better. Story 82. I found a cool audiobook that I started listening to today. Story 83. I relaxed in a hammock with my 13-month-old. I coaxed a baby chuckle from her. It made me laugh, and she laughed even more. It was pure bliss for about 30 seconds. Story 84. I am a quadriplegic who, after nearly 6 years, has inexplicably regained some limited movement without mobility aids and passed an assessment today to progress to the next block in my professional wrestling school. This included 2 front flips. Life leads you to unexpected places sometimes, it seems. Story 85. A former leader at work recognized something I did well. Story 86. Tomorrow is my daughter's 9th birthday. We went shopping at the mall and had dinner with her mother. It was a sweet evening, full of laughter and love. Story 87. Lowe's had number 6 and number 8 pan head sheet metal screws, 3/8 inch long. Story 88. I accepted a job offer after hundreds of applications and months of rejections. Story 89. I made a 6-gallon bucket of pickled green tomatoes. My wife has a 5-gallon batch of sauce tomatoes slowly cooking down for canning. We both helped our kids with schoolwork. The cows did not get out, and we are looking forward to tomorrow. Story 90. My posture is improving. I finally learned exactly how to fix it. Story 91. I found out I qualified for Medicaid to help with my $80,000 in medical bills. Story 92. I repaired a solar panel I thought was broken. Story 93. My alarm did not win the fight this morning. I actually woke up laughing out loud. Story 94. I could not sleep, so I saw the sunrise over the ocean. An Amazon Web Services malfunction prevented me from working today. Story 95. I made a drawing earlier and it turned out pretty good, at least by my standards. Story 96. I took my dog on a nature walk. It was a bit chilly but sunny and beautiful with a refreshing breeze. Story 97. My 5-year-old asked for a surprise party, so we gathered all her grandparents. I picked her up and told her that her mother's car would not start and that I was dropping her off. Her birthday is not for a few days, so she was surprised. We have come a long way in co-parenting her, and she is a wonderful little person. Story 98. I beat Ninja Gaiden 2, Black Remake on Xbox Game Pass just in time for Ninja Gaiden 4. Story 99. I hung out with a friend I had not seen in months. She has not changed a bit, except that she now has children with neurodivergent traits similar to my own. I was able to help her better understand her child because I have had extensive training that she had not been able to access. Story 100. I finished a Civilization 6 game I had been playing for a while. I ended up winning by score rather than by culture, which was my goal, but I cannot complain. Story 101. I had a dream so vivid this morning that when I woke up I had to remember who I was in this realm. I think it was so intense because my brain did a good cleaning, and I feel like I am finally out of my depressive slump for now. Story 102. My director gave me an award that came with a nice cash bonus. After taxes, it's less than $500, but I'm grateful. Story 103. I bought an egg turner for next year's eggs. My ducklings helped me install fencing around a coop. I bought a new heater for my geckos. Story 104. University student here. Canvas was down, so the assignment due today was extended to tomorrow. I had not started it. I did better than I expected on the test I took on Friday. When I ordered from the new restaurant in the basement of my residence hall, they messed up my order and I received a free shake. Life is good. Story 105. After some career setbacks over the past few months, I have the opportunity to expand my team and take on new responsibilities. I am very pleased about that. Story 106. I have nearly finished reorganizing and packing our storage unit. It is ready for the move. Story 107. I was about to crash out after school when I found a giant-sized pizza in the freezer that I had forgotten about. Fun fact, I had not eaten anything all day. Little did I know, the pizza did not last 10 seconds. I did not even have time to turn on Netflix. Story 108. The usual know-it-all who would not stop talking in our golf game did not show up tonight. Story 109. I was craving fast food, so my mom got me Burger King. I have a booster box of trading cards arriving on Friday. Story 110. First day back in the office after a long work trip. 2 bottles of my favorite bourbon are sitting on my desk. Bourbon is hard to get where I am, so it is a real treat. My child smiled, giggled, and passed gas twice. Story 111. I am sitting in my tiny apartment. My big old dog is on my right in my recliner. My cat tickles my ear with her tail every so often, and I am spinning records while my husband plays video games. My kid is in the next room creating video game plants, and for now we are safe. Story 112. I was interviewed about my latest book on a podcast. The host was enthusiastic and asked excellent questions, which created a lively atmosphere. Story 113. I felt well enough to go outside and work on my garden for the first time in months. I did get dizzy and had to sit in the shade a lot, but there were so many butterflies and bumblebees that it was very nice. Story 114. I connected with a really great girl, but she returned to the United States. Story 115. I hung a long string of Edison lights over my backyard that I've wanted to install since I moved in. Story 116. I was fumbling with my coffee order at the drive-thru. Extra shot, no foam, hold the dignity, when the barista leaned out and handed me a mystery cup with a grin and said, "On the house, you look like you need it." It was a perfectly crafted lavender latte I had never tried. As I sipped it on my commute, my boss called to say my presentation had been moved up, and I nailed it anyway. Best caffeinated plot twist of the day, and now I am hooked on purple drinks and good karma. Story 117. I started my first sewing project that is not a bag. I am making a skirt for a fairy costume. Drawing up the pattern was super fun. Story 118. I took the day off for mental health. I went to a museum exhibit I had been wanting to visit and talked to a good friend on the phone. Story 119. I had a yearning for a particular item of clothing, which is extremely rare for me. I found it in the first store I visited, and it was a discount store. Story 120. I guess nothing really bad happened. I had plenty of frustrating problems at work, but that is just par for the course. On the other hand, nothing that I would call good happened either. Just a solid 5 out of 10 day. Story 121. My students worked hard in double-period English class. Story 122. We put an offer in on our first house. I am excited for my 9-month-old twins to have their own backyard to play in. Story 123. I was walking when a tomcat came by, meowed at me, rubbed against my legs and purred. I sat down and petted him for about 5 to 10 minutes. He was photogenic. rolling around playfully and showing his belly. It was more affection from a cat than I had received all year. Our rescue is a former feral. He plays with us but does not rub, purr, or cuddle. It took him months to roll over near us and show his belly, and about 8 months to start meowing. The cat on the sidewalk, whom I had never met, approached me, meowed, purred, circled me while rubbing his face against me, rolled over a few times and kept rubbing. He looked older but not underweight, and I did not see any flea dirt, so I assume someone is caring for him. I had a positive experience petting and sitting with that cat, and I hope he enjoyed it too. It was a pleasant and unexpected surprise. I did not expect affection from a cat I did not know. Story 124. I had a productive day at work and successfully replaced the pool light. I relaxed with my cat afterward because he watched my back while I was working on the pool. Story 125. I received a free microphone stand to use with my guitar amplifier. If I ever record anything, it will be very useful. Story 126. It is only 7 in the morning, so I would say the breakfast I made was very good. Story 127. I found $6 under a pile of papers and assorted junk on the piano. Story 128. I finally finished a task I'd been putting off for weeks. Felt good to just get it done. Story 129. I got engaged to the love of my life. We were watching the eagles soaring along the bluffs when he got down on one knee. It was peaceful and perfect. Story 130. I participated in a dance class and enjoyed it, even though I am not very coordinated. Story 131. A client is scheduled with me tomorrow, so I will be able to buy cat food. Story 132. I am a band and event photographer. One of my favorite groups made an appreciation post on Instagram about me. Story 133. I had a nice long walk, a delicious dinner, and then watched the Blue Jays beat the Mariners to advance to the World Series. Story 134. I got the okay from work to schedule a vacation over Christmas and the New Year. Story 135. I finally went back to the gym after a month-long break because of arm pain. I was consistent for 6 months, then I got hurt. My arm still hurts a bit, but going to the gym feels good and encourages other positive habits. Story 136. Several of my job initiatives have advanced. I will be king of the Walmart greeters in no time. Story 137. I lost my wallet in the store. After a few minutes of panic, I saw a woman handing it to an employee. Story 138. I completed all the paperwork for the community habilitation position. I also successfully applied for a summer 2026 internship in Washington, D.C., since I will be there anyway for another program in spring 2026 as an intern with the National Association of Chronic Disease Directors. I thought it would be a good idea to try to extend that into summer 2026 with the American Association of People with Disabilities. I am excited about the possibility of extending my stay in Washington, D.C. to advocate for people with disabilities, focusing on college students with disabilities at the national level. Story 139. My new pup pooped and peed on his training pad for the first time. Although I had to enclose him in a pen to do it, I will still take the win. Story 140. I found the game I have been wanting to play from 1997, but it will not work on my Macintosh computer. Story 141. I had the day off work, so I went to the local union hall to pay my fourth quarter dues. The hall said I was already caught up, so I called my dad and asked if he was hungry. If I brought over some barbecued ribs, would he eat some for lunch? He said yes. I bought the best barbecued ribs in Indiana, and on a Monday afternoon he and I had ribs, listened to music on YouTube, laughed, and enjoyed each other's company. It was an awesome day. Story 142. Not today, but yesterday. I have an orange cat named Fireball. For some reason he has a vendetta against house geckos, but he is rarely able to catch them. The night before he had once again failed, and I spent the rest of the day sarcastically asking whether he had managed to get a gecko. I was about to mock him when, with great luck, Fireball spotted a different gecko and managed to pounce and capture it. He paraded his unfortunate victim to me, then carried it off in his mouth to another room where he toyed with and presumably dismembered the gecko at his leisure. I was hysterical with laughter, My only regret is that I did not have my phone with me. Story 143. My daughter asked me to join her on a walk. It was the highlight of my day. Story 144. I managed to exercise even though I was not feeling my strongest. Story 145. I made a new friend. Did I shake his hand? Of course not. Handshakes are for strangers. And a stranger is just a person you have not shared food with yet. I gave that motherfucker a hug. Story 146. Judy Inquire made me laugh hard when she said she has acid flashbacks and does not have our SPS. Story 147. I helped my girlfriend move to her new place. We are now eating soup and watching a movie. It is an amazing feeling. Story 148. The day has just started, so we will see. For now, it's a nice hot coffee. Story 149. I had an appointment for my son, who is due in about a month, and everything is healthy. Story 150. My life's a crumbling mess. I wish I could say I ate today, but I haven't. I had an idea that made me happy. There's a Monopoly promotion in Canada. I never thought of it before. I'm really struggling, so I might check McDonald's for Monopoly pieces to try to get food. I'll bring gloves just in case. Hopefully I get lucky. Story 151. I signed my patent documents. Say hello to a newly minted inventor. Story 152. It took some courage, but I finally started my tattoo removal. It hurts like hell, but it is worth it. Story 153. My wife walked in half naked, thinking I was asleep, so I got a good peek for a couple of seconds. Story 154. I got my annual influenza and coronavirus disease 2019 vaccinations today. Does that count? Story 155. I won first prize in a competition at my university while I was at home for the Diwali break. Story 156. I had a nice conversation with my boss. I work for a company based in San Francisco and our office is in Tempe, Arizona. She was in town for the week and asked me about an area of the business they are trying to sort out where I have expertise. I gave her information she said was very useful, which helps reinforce my job security. She is also stunningly beautiful and very sweet. Story 157. I was mopping the floors when one of our guests approached my coworker with something wrapped in paper towels. He had a thick accent and spoke limited English, so I was not sure what he was offering. He handed the paper towels to my coworker, who unwrapped them to reveal something huge and covered in cinnamon. I make them at home for you to have. You can share, he said. My coworker reached for her wallet. I think I have a few dollars, she said. He told us about another food he could make, something filled with beef, cheese, and green chiles. He promised to bring some the next time he came by. As he wandered off, I asked my coworker what he had given her. These? Homemade sapapillas. Want one? She said. They are fried pastries covered in cinnamon and sugar. One was bigger than my head and absolutely delicious. I could not finish it. Story 158. I went for a walk with my husband and our dog. The autumn colors were beautiful, and the dog was just as happy as we were. Story 159. I am reading through this and not taking for granted that I am healthy and well. Story 160. After losing my job in February of last year and being underemployed, doing everything from cutting grass and pulling weeds to operating a forklift in a warehouse, I am now working as a multimedia developer. Story 161. I worked out until my legs were jelly. It does not feel great right now, but it will pay off tomorrow. Story 162. The best thing that happened to me today was finding a candied pecan while I was eating some nuts. It was a pleasant surprise and might be the highlight of my month. Story 163. I watched the Toronto Blue Jays come back to win Game 7 of the American League Championship Series and earn a spot in the World Series. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.